this pattern, I'm using this bernat blanket yarn. I'm using two different colors. I've got the almond and pale gray. The yarn is super bulky, weight 6, and the hook I'm using is the size M 9mm. I'm going to start with the gray, and this pattern isn't mine. The granny squares aren't mine, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on the granny squares, but the link to the pattern is in the description, so you can go to the designer of the granny square to see how I'm doing this, but you can really do any granny squares that you want to do. The ones that I'm doing have a crescent moon on them. With all 4 squares connected, I'm cutting the yarn off. I'm cutting the yarn and finishing off. I'm going to rejoin the same yarn down here on the corner. And I'm just going to do a row of single crochets along the bottom. Chain 1 and turn. I'm going to do another row of single crochets but I'm going to be decreasing. I'm going to decrease the first stitch, and then do 2 single crochets, and then I'll be decreasing again on the third stitch, and then just repeating that, 2 single crochets, and then a decrease. So I'm going to repeat that for the whole row. Single crochet, single crochet, and then decrease. And I'll do that until I finish the row. You should end your row on your last decrease. I'm going to turn, and I'm going to switch my hooks. So I'm going to stop using the 9mm hook and switch to a 5mm H hook. I'm going to decrease this first stitch here with a slip stitch. Chain 7, and a half double crochet along the chain. I should have 6 stitches now, and then I'm going to go back to that stitch there where the chain started, and I'm going to do a slip stitch into that stitch. And then I'm going to decrease the next 2 stitches and join them together with a slip stitch. I'm not going to chain, I'm just going to turn. And then I'm going to do half double crochets in the back loops only along the chain. Make sure you're skipping the first 2 stitches that you see, because those are your slip stitches from joining the rows together. So you will always be beginning in the 3rd stitch you see there. And I'm just doing half double crochets, back loops only. At the end of the row, chain 1 and turn. And half double crochet, back loops only. Just like before, you will be going into the stitch at the bottom where you started the row and joining it with a slip stitch. And then you will be joining the next 2 stitches together with a slip stitch. So decreasing the next 2 stitches together. Don't chain, just turn. Skip the first 2 stitches you see, because those are your previous slip stitches. And just half double crochet back loops only. So you're going to be doing this for the entire row. So you'll chain 1 and turn, and you'll just repeat that all along this row here until you get to the end. You're just repeating those 2 rows that we've been doing over and over again. Once I've come to the end, I'm going to decrease these 2 stitches together with a slip stitch. Then cut my yarn and finish off. You're going to do this same thing to make both of the sleeves. To do the torso portion of the sweater, I've done 2 rows of 3, and I connected them using the same gray yarn, using single crochets that I did on the sleeves. Now on the bottom here, I'm going to do the same thing that I did on the sleeve, this pattern here. I'm going to repeat this onto the bottom of the sweater here. I have both sides finished now, so I'm going to start sewing the shoulders together. And I'm just connecting them the same way I did connecting all of these with the gray yarn. So to connect these 2 pieces together, I'm going to continue on here until I get to about the 3rd stitch here, because you need to leave space in the middle here for your neck. So really you can leave that space as big or as small as you want it to be, just as long as it fits you and the look you want it to have. I did the first 3 stitches on the middle square, so now I'm going to cut my yarn and finish off. And then I'm going to do the same thing over on this side, joining my yarn and finishing in the 3rd stitch in the middle square. I decided doing it to the 3rd stitch over here in the middle stitch made the hole too small, so I undid that and I stopped at the beginning of it. So I've just done the last stitch in the 1st square. I'm going to end it with a slip stitch into the corner of the middle square. Around the neck here, I'm going to do the same pattern that I did down here, doing the 2 rows of the half double crochets and then make a chain. I'm going to do a shorter chain though. To do the neck, I've used the same 3/4 gray yarn, doubling it the same as I did everywhere else with the gray on. I've done one round of single crochets just around the neckline. And then I'm going to finish the round with a single crochet into the first stitch. I'm not going to chain, I'm just going to slip stitch the first 2 stitches together. And chain 4. And now I'm going to be doing the same pattern that I did for the sleeves and the bottom of the sweater, which is half double crochet across the chain. Slip stitch into that stitch at the bottom of the chain. This part is going to be a little bit different than it was on the other, like on the bottom part and on the sleeves, when we would decrease at the bottom portion of every row. Instead of doing that, I'm just going to slip stitch into the next stitch and do the next row. Half double crochets backwards only. Chain 1, return. So this is the same as the other rows. I'm doing the same thing for every row, but I will be decreasing the same way I did on the sleeves and down here. I will be doing those decreases only every 5th row. So just slip stitch to bottom there and slip stitch into the next stitch and turn and half double crochet back loops only. I just realized I'm using the wrong hook size, so I'm going to undo all this and redo it with my correct hook. I'm near the first corner, and I've done one decrease here at the end of the 5th row. So I'm going to go ahead and do another decrease. So I'm going to go back through the same stitch I just decreased and decrease into the next stitch as well. So in the other corner over here, I'm going to do an extra decrease over here as well. So you should have 2 decreases in each corner. And after the second decrease, I'm just continuing doing the half double crochets back loops only. So I'm just continuing this, doing half double crochets back loops only, decreasing the bottom of the round every 5th row, and doing 2 decreases in each corner. I'm not on my 5th row, the one I'm supposed to decrease, but I've got 4 stitches left here, so I'll be decreasing anyway. I'm going to finish this row. Slip stitch to the bottom. I'm going to decrease the next 2 stitches together. And then half double crochet backwards only. Half double crochet backwards only for the next row. Slip stitch at the bottom. And then decrease the next 2 stitches. And I'm going to close this, connecting them with half double crochets in the back loops only. So just going through 1/2 and also go through the other half. Then you can cut your yarn and finish off. Now for the sleeves, I'm starting with my H hook and starting at the cuff, connecting the yarn. And I'm going to go through both sides of the cuff. And join them with single crochets. Once I get to the part here that I did with the bigger hook, I'm going to switch back to that bigger hook, the M, and I'm just going to keep going just with the bigger hook. I'm going to keep going until I get to the end of the sleeve when I have 3 stitches left. The last stitch I'm going to do is this one here, leaving the next 3 unworked. There are 3 stitches left here, so it should be closed up until this point here. And now I'm going to begin connecting it to the sweater. I'm going to have the seam facing downward this way. This is the top of the sweater, the shoulder is here. So I'm going to be going do the next stitch here just on the front half. I'll be joining it down here on the bottom square into the third stitch. And I'm just going to go around sewing the sleeve to the sweater with just single crochets. And the front side's done. I'm just flipping it over and continuing it onto the other side. And I've done the 3 stitches on this square here. I'm going to have to backtrack a little. This part honestly confused me a bit, so mine probably isn't done perfectly, but I'm just doing it, trying to do it the same way I did on the other side. Going to the next stitch on the gray one, but then I'm going to go back on here and go into the 3rd stitch over here that I already did. Then go into the next stitch here and go back over here. That should get you back to where you have the 2 squares left at the bottom here. You should be done with the sleeve now. And now you should be onto the main portion of the sweater here. So I'm going to keep going, and I just want to close this so there's not a gap here. I'm just going to, I don't really know, I'm not putting these in specific stitches. I just want to close that gap. And then I'm going to continue down the side of the sweater, closing this with the single crochets. At the bottom, when I reach the portion that I did with the smaller hook, I'm switching back to that smaller hook. Then cut the yarn and finish off. And then I'll do the same thing to connect the other sleeve. Then you'll just weave in your loose end and you're done.